Now I need a motion to raise, of that figure, $13,696,453 from taxes. Representative Lavender, thank you for being so kind. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Representative McConkey.
Representative Lavender took the hit.
Okay.
Is this, like with the town, is this to raise and appropriate?
Yes, I think we need to say that.
Yes.
To raise and appropriate. From taxes.
Okay.
From taxes. $13,696,453. Representative White.
Could you tell us what percentage of an increase that is?
3.64.
He's in it.
3.64 is what I came up with.
Okay, any other questions?
2.8.
You came up with 2.8?
696.
Close it is.
Well,
I'll go with yours.
She's
Okay.
right.
Well, no, I don't know, but the commissioner says $300,000 is gonna bring it down to 3%. Obviously, 400,000 would bring it.
That's what I thought.
okay, the
There
magic
we go,
calculator,
It's because you were
In-
leaving his numbers
I
off.
know, I like the
the magic calculator that Kathy will use shows a 3.5%.
I like Representative Taylor's better.
Yeah.
Three,
Yeah, well,
so-
I thought it was 2, but
Okay.
his might be more accurate if he's getting that 6,000.
Yeah. Anyhow, it's right around 3%. Okay, and we'll let the,
Because he's adding the 6,000.
yeah, it's right around 3% increase in taxes. And I think that's, you know, and of course, we don't have the new valuations, we don't have all that stuff, so who knows what is actually going to happen after DRA sets the rates and so on, so, but that's where we stand right now. Could we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Are there any public comments this morning? Yes. Please state your name.
James Steer, County Deputy Son. Just wanted to ask if anyone had any strong feelings about the gambling bill, and if so, I'd love to talk to you afterwards. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Mary Lou McLean, and I work for Central New Hampshire VNA and Hospice, and would like to just do a point of clarification, if I could, on some remarks that were, or maybe some misunderstandings about where we all get funding from. So Central New Hampshire VNA and Hospice is a merged entity. It was Visiting Nurse and Hospice Association of Southern Carroll County and Community Health and Hospice in Laconia. There was an article in the newspaper last Thursday which indicated that some of the delegates could be under the impression that VNA and Hospice of Southern Carroll County receives county funding as well as town funding. And I would just like to clarify, we do not get county funding. We do ask for funding from the towns, and that's the only place we get it, so we are not double dipping. So I would appreciate it just being on the record.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, I read your email. that you send. And,
The CEO said that. but-
Okay, well, someone,
Asked- Yes, she did.
someone said it.
And asked that I just come to the meeting and clarify.
Right. Okay. Any other comments? All right. Yes.
I want to discuss with you the RSA 24:17, and it's about county conventions, and it's under investigations. And I believe we should use this whenever there is any kind of investigations being done to the county. And it reads, "The county convention, by a vote of a majority of all its members, may appoint a committee of its own members, not to exceed 5, not over 3, to be either of 2 political parties, to investigate conditions pertaining to the conduct of county affairs by any county officer or any person appointed or employed by such officer, which committee shall have power to summon witnesses," so you'll have subpoena power, "examine them under oath, secure a transcript of the testimony, and do other necessary acts to conduct search and investigations." We should be using this whenever there is an investigation of anything in the county. And I didn't know about this, but in Belknap County, they're actually using this.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
You said 24-1?
24:17.
Oh, okay,
I
thank
have
you.
copies here if you want to just see them around. Thank you.
Okay. One other thing that I want to mention is the fact that if anyone at the table has public comments, I would, as you are sitting here, you are representing your elected position. If you want to have public comments, then I would ask you to please not sit at the table, but rather to go back and be as a member of the public. And then there is no problem with that whatsoever. Since Representative Butler is not here today, Ted, I would ask if you will, on any roll call things that we need to have, we'll call the names out.
Okay.
And I indicate what the vote is. Okay. We have a little bit of a problem this morning, but I'm sure we can overcome it. In that Ed, as I understand it, has had a death in the family. Is that correct? And is in Indiana. And we don't have the minutes from our last meeting, but that's okay. I think we can handle that. And so we will have to press on, and because I do want to finish up today, if we possibly can. I would also, at this point, ask that we go back to the sheriff's budget, if I could. The sheriff provided a list of sheriff reimbursements, and I did not realize that the sheriff also took care of the circuit court, and when the sheriff was talking, he didn't tell us that, and what he was receiving from that. And so, as you can see on this list, the circuit court of Carroll County is part of the 3rd Circuit Court. I guess it used to be called the Southern Carroll County Court, which it is now called the Southern Carroll County Circuit Court, or just the Circuit Court here. And so with the 75.9 from the Superior Court and the 3468 from the Circuit Court, that for sheriff reimbursement comes to plus the $77,250, which we voted on last week for the $5 extra for the Superior Court. That comes to $116,408. And so if we take his total budget that we had, which is on page 14 of our budget worksheet, and we add and subtract and come all of that together, it is an addition of it ends up with a final budget of $1,796,892. And so I would ask if we could have a motion to accept the sheriff's budget of $1,796,982.
I'll make that one.
Okay, thank you, Howard. Do I have a second? Bill? Okay. Tom? Tom, I can't look at this. You've got your name pointing right to me, and I still call you Bill. Okay, thank you, Tom. Yes,
Could somebody double check those math problems adding the three up?
sure. 75.9.
I got 79 here.
Pardon? No, don't pay attention to what's there.
Okay.
Okay.
The budgeted number, even though that, you'll notice that that says budget request.
Okay.
Okay. That was not what was actually, what the final request from the judicial branch was. The final request from the judicial branch was 75.9, which is roughly where they were in 13.
What line are you on?
I'm on this sheet.
On this sheet now, okay.
You'll notice that under Carroll County Circuit Court and Carroll County Superior Court, it shows the budget request on this sheet here. Okay. Yes,
Thank you. When we get there, you're proposing to add money to the revenue side too?
yes.
Offsetting that amount you're increasing?
Okay. Are there any other questions? Comments? Yes.
Sorry, it just seems
That's-
to be not quite as quick this morning as I wish I was. But,
Don't feel bad.
So this sheet here is telling us that the Sheriff's Department needs additional funds to supply services to the Carroll County Circuit Court and the Carroll Superior Court. And they're asking for, and we're dealing right now with their budget request for 2013?
14.
No, 14.
Well, yes, 20, well, for us, it's 20,
14.
yeah, because the state fiscal year is, and we have already gone through, what's this, March, 3 months of this year. And so you can see that the budget request for 13 for the state was 75.3.
Okay, and so if I may continue,
Mhm.
so we're dealing with the third column now, so the figures are 79,176.
Right, except that when the judicial branch completed their budget and brought it to the finance committee, they are keeping the level at 75,900 as opposed to 79,176.
So these are not accurate numbers?
That's correct.
Okay,
This- yeah.
so I can change this 79 to 75,9?
9.
Okay. And then will we be getting reimbursement or revenues for the same
For the same amount.
categories?
Mhm.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Sure, okay.
Yes, go ahead, Representative
So on the
Chandler.
court bailiffs and the sheriff's department, can you tell me what that line should be now?
That line should be 116,408. And I think I did the math correctly. Sheriff is nodding his head, so it would appear that I have added and subtracted correctly.
And if I may, and you're exactly right, that any money you're increasing today will be reimbursed. Even if we go over that line, which we did this year, the state has the ability to pay us for reimbursements. We've never been turned down over and above what we've budgeted, so that's a close enough figure to work with, I guess.
Okay, are there any other questions, comments?
We're good with that number.
Yes, okay, so, the motion is to adjust, the motion is that the sheriff's budget will be $1,796,982.
I have 892.
Yeah, I do too.
I wrote down 982, that's what you said the first time.
Okay.
All right.
I'm not taking a position on which one is right, I wrote down 982.
Okay.
892 and 982.
Oh, I had 892 also, and you had 982. We're all dyslexic.
First time
Yeah,
I
well,
had
it was-
882, then the second time I had it 982.
So which is it?
982.
982.
Okay, I got that one.
Okay, Ted, will you please call the roll?
All right. Representative Ahlgren?
Yes.
Representative Chandler? Representative Cordelli?
Yes.
Representative Lavender?
Yes.
Representative McConkey?
Yes.
Representative Merrow?
Yes.
Representative Nelson?
Yes.
Representative Ticehurst?
Yes.
Representative Umberger?
Yes.
Representative White?
Yes.
And Representative Wright, yes.
Thank you. 8 and 5 is 13, 8, 6, 0, 7, 2, 7. Okay. So that changes the bottom line of the budget that we voted on last week to $27,750,683.
600 and what?
83.
Thank you.
Could I have a motion to accept the budget of $27,750,683?
I'll make that motion.
Oh, thank you, Tom. Thank you, Representative Lavender.
A second.
Okay, seconded by Representative Merrow. Are there any questions? Comments? Yes.
Comment, it has been brought to my attention that there's a rather huge line item in here for DEAS, which I understand now has a new name, in which in the past I've always told is something we could do absolutely nothing about. But I'm just making a comment that I think this year we could look into that and see if there is something we can do about it. But I wouldn't want to hold up the works this year.
Let me, if I might, agree with you, okay?
Certainly.
And one of the things that as we are working through the budget, one of the things that I fear is that this number is not going to be sufficient for what appears to be coming down the pike in regards to this bed tax business. And I am going to have a discussion very shortly with people that understand this, which I don't, okay, to see where we're going and what we're doing in this area. But it is a concern, I think, that all of us have. I don't understand enough of how all that works to be able to talk intelligently about it. And I express that to the people that I'm going to be discussing it with, so.
We would just hope that you'll share as much of that information as you can so we can be up to speed also.
Right, I certainly will.
Thank you.
Representative Chandler, did you have a comment?
No.
No? Okay.
I've been voting no, that was my only comment.
I am really shocked.
Well, that's consistent anyhow, right? Okay. Any further discussion? Okay. Representative Wright, would you please call the roll?
Okay, I just want to make sure I've got that number correctly before. 27,750,683.
That's the number I have. Did anyone else add it?
No, I'm sorry, I didn't have that. I just have a procedural question.
Yes.
And I'm sorry if I missed it. Did we amend or reconsider, or what are we doing here? Because obviously this was voted on last week.
Right, but we have not gone into convention.
No, but even so, you need to, I think, I don't care, but either reconsider.
I think we should amend the budget.
Okay, I just wanted to.
Yeah.
So the minutes reflect.
Yeah, amend the budget and amend the sheriff's department.
Do we have to have a motion on that?
We did,
We
well,
did.
On the motion?
Yeah.
All right.
yeah, that's,
That's all.
okay, thank you. Thank you, Representative Chandler. I want you to keep us straight so that we're,
Even though I'm going to vote no, I wouldn't want to use that as a procedural thing to come
Yes.
back. I want to make sure you're doing
I
it right,
appreciate
that's all.
that. Go ahead, Representative Wright.
Representative Ahlgren,
Yes.
Representative Chandler.
No,
Representative Cordelli,
No.
Representative Lavender,
Yes.
Representative McConkey,
Yes.
Representative Merrow,
yeah.
Representative Nelson,
Yes.
Representative Schmitt, oh, he's not here, sorry. Representative Ticehurst,
Yes.
Representative Umberger,
Yes?
Representative White,
Yes.
and Representative Wright, yes.
You want to give us the vote count, please?
9-2.
Okay, 9-2. Yes,
There's
Representative.
12 people here.
Pardon?
There's 12 people here. Two is 11.
11. Who did I miss?
11.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No.
She only votes in case of attack. Or if we need it the right way. If that made any difference, we'd have asked her to vote.
Okay. Are there any other obvious errors that the chairman made last week that need to be corrected on the spending side?
Just the amount.
Chairman, do you want to wait to go into convention, or do you want to go into convention on that number at this point?
I think we can go into convention on the spending side. and come out and then do the revenue.
Okay. So I'll move that we go into convention.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Representative Merrow? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
We just lost it.
Okay. Could I have well, we've got a couple things to do. Number one, could I have a motion to accept the minutes from,
Can't you bring it up before convention? Gotta bring it up
no,
before
we did,
convention.
we passed this motion last week.
All right.
Okay, and then we're continuing on. The minutes are from February 22nd.
Move the minutes that were distributed for the meeting on February 22nd.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Yes?
I believe, I have to run back and look at the date, but I believe that those were the minutes that were needed to be corrected. So I just want to make sure that we're voting on corrected minutes.
Yes, that was, you had made a change, right?
Correct, yes, it was. The last page, page 4, not the last, page 4, about the, no. It may not be this one. It was the one where we voted on spending money for the performance audit, and several of us had voted no, but it was reported that it passed unanimously.
Oh, yeah, it's on page 3 on the bottom.
3 on the bottom, thank you.
Yeah. I had that funny, but I think my recollection was the motion was wrong. I think we all, if you go to the next page, the very same motion showed up, I thought. I noticed that.
Okay, am I on the wrong minute?
I don't know. Like I said, I was looking at it.
I don't have
Oh,
that
here
at
it
the
is.
bottom of page 3 of mine.
Here it is, I'm sorry. These are the minutes of February 22nd,
One
yes.
second.
Okay. On the bottom, it says, Representative McConkey makes a motion that the delegation recommended spending $20,000 for the start of the performance audit, seconded by Representative Bucco. All in favor, motion passed. And it was not all in favor.
Right, but then if you turn the page, it says Representative McConkey makes a motion to amend the motion, the delegation. Oh, makes a motion to amend the motion. Okay. I'm sorry. I thought it just got repeated, like it was like a motion to go in a convention or something. I apologize.
So the minutes should reflect that it wasn't unanimous. it
Right,
was or something.
right. I actually think that we should just eliminate that motion. Just eliminate that sentence, because on the next page, it says Representative McConkey makes a motion to amend to 20,000. So I think we can just take that sentence out. Does that work, Representative Ticehurst?
I don't seem to have the same pages as you do, but it says Representative McConkey makes a motion to amend the motion to the delegation to appropriate $20,000 for a performance audit.
But if we just take that one motion out at the bottom of the page.
I think so. I don't recall what the how the amendment changed the original vote.
And that vote is, the motion passed 7-4.
So the original motion was to spend $20,000 for the start of the performance audit. The amended motion was also to
I think the,
appropriate $20,000.
yeah, that's why I think we can just take this motion out.
Okay.
Okay.
The first one.
Right, just take the first one out. Okay, so,
So amend motion of acceptance of the minutes as distributed to also show the correction or adjustment to remove bottom of page 1 under motions.
it's page 3.
Page 3, to remove the line, makes a motion for the delegation, recommends spending $20,000 with the start of the performance audit, seconded by Representative Bucco, all in favor, motion passed. The statement's incorrect, remove it, and then the rest of the minutes would stand. And I move those minutes with corrections.
Question.
I need a second. Okay, thank you, Representative Lavender.
Does the line following say, "I amend," start out? If you eliminate that, what are you amending?
The minutes are
The minutes or a motion?
the minutes.
I think that what, the original motion, if I'm not mistaken, was for 35, and we didn't, was that correct? And we didn't get anything, you know, that was not ever really voted on, and he changed the motion to 20.
I understand that,
After-
but would you read where you pick off after you've eliminated the...
The next statement starts right.
Representative McConkey makes a motion to amend the motion of the delegation to appropriate 20,000.
Does the word amend fit in there? Are you amending, because you eliminated the line where a motion was made.
Can I just offer something?
Mhm.
I wasn't here, but I'm gonna take a stab at this. I'm guessing what happened, Representative McConkey's motion was spending $20,000. Well, you can't spend it if you don't appropriate, so I'm sure your second motion was to appropriate, which it is, to appropriate the $20,000. Is
That
that
very well
what
could be,
happened,
I-
probably? Because your first motion to spend it, you can't spend it if you don't have
If you
it.
don't have it.
So I would just recommend, I don't know.
Go ahead.
Please. Just leave that, makes a motion, and recommend spending. If we want to change anything, just change the all in favor, just say motion passed. Because it did, motion passed, take out all in favor, motion passed, and then his second thing where it's amended is fine. And then that shows the vote 7-4. Is that all right?
Actually, I'd like to suggest, if there's no urgency, that we vote down this amendment and to accept the minutes and just go back and look at the tape and get it all straight. I don't, if that won't cause any harm to anybody.
Well, actually, why don't we just not approve the minutes at this point? Okay? And if you want to do that, then you can bring it back.
Okay.
Okay?
Can I work with you?
All right? Okay, so
I have a question.
we have, just a moment, we have, yes,
Last week, the minutes were already approved as corrected or not. They made corrections. So you're going to approve and make corrections?
We are in-
Second
right.
time on
We
the
are
same set
in-
of minutes?
yeah. Last week, we did not go into convention. And so even though we did things, it's not official until you go into convention to ratify the votes that you made in open meeting. And so you can change things once you get into convention. All right, which is, so we'll just not ratify the minutes at this time. So this will be open, yes.
If I could just make a quick comment. In other counties, they have 80 representatives, and they put together an executive committee, but we only have 14, so all of us are the executive committee. But then the convention is everybody, so that's why we do it that way. It seems, it might be confusing, but when we're not in convention, we are the executive committee acting as that subcommittee of the whole. But then we go into convention, and then we actually do the real vote, and that's why it might seem confusing, but it's real. So that's why it's like that.
Okay. Could I have a motion on this?
Excuse
And
me,
move-
Madam Chairman?
Yes.
I'm so sorry, but.
That's okay.
Just as a point of order, would we need to either table the motion that's on the table or?
We'll vote it down.
Or vote it down?
Mhm.
And should we do that?
We can withdraw it.
Withdraw it, yeah.
Withdraw,
You can table the minutes.
with permission, I'll withdraw my motion to accept the minutes as.
Okay. We'll
Thank you.
withdraw. Okay. Another area that we agreed to last time was the budget for Hale's location. And if I could have a motion,
Motion for, is it $274,425 appropriation for Hale's location, 2013.
What was that number again? I'm sorry.
274,425.
Thank you.
Are we in convention now?
Yes, we're still in convention. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, Representative Merrow? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, unanimous? Aye. We have two other motions on the floor, or that we need to ratify in convention. One was saying that, your motion that they can only spend, what?
The motion,
Remember when?
yeah, no, I remember.
Okay.
I'm just trying to recall it, that the amount, there were two motions.
Mhm.
One was for that the meals line within the jail budget, which was the only spending was to be for food and meals.
Okay. Everybody remember that discussion about the food at the jail? Okay. So the motion is that the food line in the jail's budget can only be spent for food. Okay. Do I have a second? Thank you, Representative Lavender. Is there any discussion on that? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. 11-0.
And then the second footnote was that, similarly, was that under the sheriff's budget, that the money appropriated for the bailiff spending could only be used for the bailiffs as reimbursed by the state.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Representative Wright? Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 11-0. Okay.
Ready for the motion? Madam Chairman, move that we approve number 27,750,683 as the appropriation for the budget, Commissioner's budget,
2013.
2013.
Any additional comments? Questions?
Second.
Oh, I need a second, thank you. Syndi Wright? Okay. I think we need to raise our hands on this one since we appeared to have some dissenting votes in the, before we came into convention. So, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Opposed? 9-2. Okay, I believe that covers everything that we needed to do on the spending side of on the appropriation side of the budget.
Move to come out of convention.
Okay, do I have a second for you? It's Representative Wright. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Pardon? Oh,
Excuse
okay.
myself.
Let us go to the revenue side, if I could. And everyone has a new revenue sheet here, except for me, but I can't find mine. Who stole my revenue sheet?
It's not me, I've already checked.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay. I believe the first thing we need to do is to increase the revenue under the sheriff for the bailiffs from 96,040 to 116,40. No, that's the wrong number.
116,408.
Because, yeah, that's the wrong number.
I think so.
Kathy? How did you get 9640?
At the last meeting, you had reduced it by 20,000. So.
Okay. But this number is only the 75,9 and the 34,068. That's the revenue. Pardon?
Came up with 109,968.
Right. That's the revenue. The other was, the 72, whatever it is, was on the appropriation side, but not on the revenue side. Okay. So could I have a motion, please, for the sheriff's revenue under the bailiffs to be $109,968?
So moved.
Representative McConkey, do I have a second? Representative Lavender? Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. This number is changed to 109,968. Are there any other comments, questions, suggestions on the revenue side? Yes, thank you.
Over in the registry, the deeds.
Okay,
And
that's on
I don't
page
know-
2.
Yeah. If you want
Go ahead.
to relook at this, but it just seems that the proposal for proposed income is lower than what it could be, and I'm not one for overinflating revenues, as you know, but we, at a minimum, it should be what we got last year. I mean, every indication is that the real estate market is, I mean, it already has improved considerably in this first quarter already. So I would think we would safely be able to add some revenue to that, at least up to, I don't know, 450, 460, something, and also in the transfer tax part too, but I just throw that out there because I'm hopeful it'll continue, but the first quarter everywhere has shown actually relatively, I guess I'd almost call them huge increases in home sales, so, I don't know.
The registrar had offered information to me when I came in, but I haven't seen it.
Oh, she did.
Perhaps we could ask her.
I had not seen what you're looking at, but I had proposed 800,000 as the income
I was afraid we increased what we took in the year before by 130,000 over what I originally proposed we would make last year. So I didn't go the full 130, but difference, so I went 100. I know the figure was 800,000.
This is the same number, Ann, that's been out there for months. Nothing has changed in this area. So you currently show for the Registry of Deeds 820,044 as total income.
That's correct.
Okay. And what Representative Chandler is saying is that home sales in the first quarter have, well, we're not done the quarter, but so far, have actually been at a pace much greater than last year. And so he is suggesting that we change the recording fees and the transfer tax to the, as a minimum, what we had last year.
I agree.
And
Not
you-
him. We had increased that.
Well, you didn't increase it. It wasn't increased to the level of what was received in 12.
I guess the one question I would ask the
And
legislators.
if you don't have a copy of that,
This one right here.
My question would be, at a minimum, there's no last year we actually received from the registry of income $878,000.
Well,
At
some
an
of that was
absolute-
surcharge.
Pardon?
Representative Chandler, some of that was surcharge. You're mixing two things, the actual registry income and the surcharge income, and there is one total. So you have to remove like somewhere in the vicinity of 30,000.
Well,
If you look, the 97 account,
I understand, but
Income is included in
the
that
total
number.
money that you reported as income is $878,000. Is there any reason to believe that this year would be any less than that? I would believe it would be more, but is there any reason?
do you not have this breakdown? Because your figures and my figures are not matching.
I want you to come and pick up
I'll give you
a copy of this, and we will go on to something else for a few minutes. Come and get it. You take a look at what he's discussing, which is at least the recording fees
50,000.
and the transfer tax commission numbers should be increased to at least what we had in 2012. Is that?
Well, at least, I would say, but and you could even go a little more, but you don't need to do that.
I've given my figures to Representative McConkey as head of the subcommittee, and my figures are what is in the bottom line here, at the very bottom, what went to the county and what was surcharge. And $838,929.02 was the total income that went to the county's general fund. Those were the sheets I gave you as you came in, Mr. McConkey.
No, I have to find those. If I could.
Mm-hmm.
We'll take a moment, we'll find that, and we'll come back to it.
Can I go downstairs and make you more copies so that you each have one of these?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's move on to okay.
This is what's reflected on this page here.
Mhm.
It's the same thing.
Could you want me to step outside and bring this here?
These numbers are what show up here.
Right.
Shit.
Why we increased it, that's what we took in. That's what we're saying we're gonna take it.
Okay. Is there anything else on the revenue side that we need to look at adjusting?
Steve is the candidate.
Yes.
I was just wondering, thank you, Madam Chair, just wondering what is included in the county miscellaneous income? That is down $23,000 from the actual for 2012.
Where are we?
The first page under county general, county miscellaneous income.
Okay. Is there someone from the county that could explain this?
I can't right offhand. Kathy comes back, she can explain it.
Okay. All right, Representative Ahlgren.
Yes, I thought.
We'll get back to that. Yes.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Under the jail, 6040.040, I see the actual dollars of 28,000 versus the budget of 45,000. And I guess it's not a huge, big number, but it's, significant enough. I'd like to kind of know why the differential's there, and if we can expect it to be 45, or some sort of bump or whatever that would cause this to kind of go up and down. Because in 2010 it was low, and then it goes up, and then it comes back down. So, was that Representative McConkey as well, was the jail? Or is there anyone from the jail?
Representative Schmitt.
Representative
Oh,
Schmitt.
Representative
That's correct.
White.
Who else was
Yeah,
on
I
that
can't-
committee?
I was too, but I don't have it in front of me. That's the explanation of it.
I mean, my best guess would be that would be from the income that we receive from the house arrest, from the anklets, from my recollection. Because we have the telephone income below that, so that, from my days, which at this point would be about 8 years ago when I was on the jail subcommittee, that's what that line was for.
Do you have any comments, or do you want to wait till Kathy gets back? Representative Ticehurst.
I seem to have floating around in my head that may have been a grant that we had or something, but I'm not confident enough to put that forward as fact.
We didn't receive any grants.
No.
Are there any other things we can't answer at this point? Yes, Representative Denny.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just moving on to the nursing home possibly. We had some discussion during our previous deliberations concerning the client mix in the nursing home. I think Representative Ahlgren, you discussed that very well. But we're showing in this projection quite a decrease in the actual from 2012 to the projected for 2013 in the Medicaid line and also in the private room income. And I'm just wondering if that is completely offset by an increase in the skilled client mix, but it's down $250,000 in the private room and board income.
But if we take a Yeah, I assume you want me to respond. We did review the revenues, and you have some points about the discussion from the client mix not necessarily extrapolating directly toward these projected revenues, because the projected revenues were just more based on historical. But if you look at page 5, under the enterprise fund, where it says the total amount of revenue, you'll see that the total amount of revenue that's projected for 2013 is quite close to the total actual amount of revenue we received. And there's a large sum of that is from the line above, the very top line there, the 045 line, the bed tax line. And that is a line that we do not have control over. It's what we receive from the quality assessment. So that number can fluctuate from year to year. So that particular number is a little bit conservative, but it's the same as last year. So I guess to answer that, we might be able to bump that up a little bit. We discussed it during the course of our subcommittee deliberations, and we felt that it was probably not wise just to overestimate revenues. That is a little conservative. We hope it will be more than last year, but once again, I think the last thing we want to do is overestimate the revenues when a large portion of it is not necessarily in our hands.
Follow up?
Go ahead.
Yeah, my concern was that even with the bottom line, we're down almost $300,000 in income from the nursing home.
Yes, Representative Ahlgren?
From the previous year, yes. Of the budget versus the actual.
Correct.
But you'll also notice that it is $770,000 more than last year's budget.
Right.
7.7% increase.
So the amount of increase that's been put into the budget is quite large already.
No, it's not. Right.
From last year's budget. If you look at last year's budget of see?
Oh, okay, yeah.
So the budgeted increase over last year's budget is pretty hefty, but, I agree that, there could be a consideration to enhance some of those revenues, but it just may not be wise at this time because we did make improvements of over $300,000 in the budgeted differences, and next year it might be nice to have a little surplus left over, which we're going to be getting to pretty soon too.
Yeah, but
So
this surplus doesn't go into the general fund.
Sure.
I have a question. Did we increase the rates at the nursing home this year?
Yes.
Okay.
This year.
So.
For the private pay, yeah.
Yeah, so
For
if.
last year.
2012?
No.
Well, for 2013 upcoming, the rates are higher.
I think the first of January.
2013.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, we raised them, and it was less than a year ago, I guess would be the way to put it. So the current rate, I believe, is $290 a day. And and I can't recall the exact date we changed the rate to $290. Do we have that?
January 1st.
Yeah, 1
Okay.
January.
So it was indeed at the beginning of the year. I just wasn't sure of the date. I knew it was within the last year. So, and that was a reasonably substantial increase. There may be some room for growth in our private pay rate, but then again, it's fairly competitive, although it's a little lower than the other places. that are within the county.
Any other comments? Is there anyone that thinks we should raise the revenue up to at least what we took in last year? Everyone's happy with the 10,699, 251?
I would, if there's someone from the nursing home, I'd, appreciate their input to that.
Okay.
Howard Chandler at Mountain View. There are funds that we receive that we don't have full control over, especially from the Bureau of Elderly and Adult Services. And that can vary considerably. That can be a swing from $900,000 to $300,000. I believe last year was around $600,000. So we've just taken a conservative tack of not wanting to overstate potential revenues we don't control. So if we got the same amount in BAS money this year as we did last year, we'd feel comfortable putting forward the $300,000. But as it was, looking forward with I think an increase of some almost $700,000 over the previous budget year seemed to be fairly aggressive in itself.
So if we did during the course of the subcommittee, I'll just reemphasize this, pose these very same questions of to trying to increase the revenues, and the department heads were extremely hesitant to because of the reason just so stated. So we did our due diligence during the subcommittee, and I have mixed feelings about it as well, but it may be wise in this instance to leave them where they are.
But I have a question.
Okay. Is there any, Representative Cordelli, did you get your answer?
I believe so, thank you.
Okay. Yes, Representative Ahlgren.
Is it appropriate to talk about?
It's appropriate to talk about anything you want at this point dealing with revenue.
All right. Well, was it appropriate to talk about the surplus to reduce taxes and the bond money?
Not yet.
Okay, that's what.
We
That's
still
gonna be a
haven't.
separate deal.
Yeah, we still haven't gotten our revenue straight. Kathy, there were several questions that arose when you were out of the room, and the commissioners are asking that on page 1, which is county miscellaneous, why that went from,
We had two refunds last year, substantial refunds. One from the New Hampshire Association of Counties. They had a reserve return of $11,899. We had from Cooperative Extension, over $10,000 returned. We had State versus Oliver, $4,000, and it came from the county attorney's office, and they said to put it there in miscellaneous income. I don't know if it was what type of case it was, but, so that's why last year's actuals were more than we had budgeted.
What was the first one, dear?
Representative Cordelli.
4,000 from the attorney's office?
In
10,000 from
past
Corporate
3
Extension.
years, however, the lowest
11,000
amount
from
that we
return
received
New Hampshire
was in
Association of Counties.
2010, and that was over $11,000. And now we're budgeting just $4,000.
Yeah, I would have to look at the details for the prior years to give you the exact, where that number came from, but, like receiving the reserve from the New Hampshire Association of Counties, that wasn't anything we were anticipating, but we did receive it, so we put anything that we don't anticipate into the miscellaneous. But I can get you the details for the prior years. Any other questions or comments on that?
Okay, jail income. It's 40. But the question is that we seem to have a up and down business going on in the jail.
$20,000 increase.
And we were curious as to
I don't think that's federal inmates.
why the jail thought they could go from 28 to 45.
No.
I would have to ask Jason that question. He works with the revenues and the people that he puts out on work release and those sort of income, and I don't know how he arrived at his numbers or what he's anticipating. I don't know if any subcommittee members are here that, if they spoke about it.
They spoke about it, but we're drawing a blank.
If I may,
Yep.
but those are the jail's numbers, right?
Right, those are his numbers.
Those are his numbers.
Yep.
Okay, so we'll have to have him live up to it, right, Commissioner?
Should someone go check on, I can't imagine. Oh, there it is, okay.
Yeah.
Am I in trouble? No, I just couldn't figure out. It seemed simple, but.
Okay, I think that was all of the other things that I had checked off as needing explanations. So, Representative McConkey.
Thank you. Provide you with an update.
Okay.
Registrar and I and Kathy for a while sat with the numbers. And most of the registrar's numbers and what the commissioners have, they're in agreement. Registrar, in her numbers and her figures that she uses, she tends to keep her surcharge separate than her income, and in the commissioner's budget they're combined. So that was the first piece of confusion there. And she shows that her income was, by her records, is $870,982.02, which is roughly $8,000 difference. When she reviewed her 2 months of this year, revenues to last year's, she sees that they're relatively flat, and if anything, $500 less income over that time, Representative Chandler. She doesn't feel comfortable increasing at this point because of most of her income last year was in the last couple months, which happens from time to time, but she felt some of the sales were more brisk than normal. The registrar would like to remain at the commissioner's projection here, which they had agreed to previously, is $820,044, and if any adjustment she might offer, at most another $10,000. But with her hesitation, I'd move $820,044 as the commissioners. Okay.
Are there any further discussion on the registrars?
Just write it down, it will be wrong.
Oh, yeah.
But it's unfortunate that she's taking that position, but so be it.
I would say that historically, the registrar has come in significantly under what we have projected as revenue.
I would just say, and I felt that in the beginning of my number of years here, and have always wanted to increase that revenue, and has always been a caution to remain on the cautious side.
I understand that. Are there any other questions on the revenue? Okay. So it appears that we need to add a little bit of money. Not a great deal. It appears we need to add $34,068 to the bottom line. And that comes from the circuit court bailiff money. And if you add that, 34,068, 12, 13, 4, 11, 5, 0, 1, 7.
34.
Okay. I have general revenue at 17,051,432.
Yep.
And I have the,
Could you repeat that, please, Madam Chairman? 17 million?
just a minute, 051,432.
Thank you.
And the enterprise total income, 10,699,251. Is that right?
Yeah, that's written.
So if I'm not mistaken, we need to add to, our budgeted revenues. That's 34,068 on page 6. And you have a number?
Yep, 27,750,683.
27.
750, 683.
Okay.
27,060.
Could I have a motion to accept the revenue of, unless there's, anybody else has a money tree that we could find? Okay.
Hearing none.
Yeah, hearing that I have no money trees out in the backyard, could I have a motion to accept the revenue of $27,750,683? Syndi moves. Do I have a second? Representative Wright seconds. And we'll need a roll call on
I
this.
have a question.
Oh, yes,
On the surplus.
we haven't gotten that far yet. Well,
We're about to have a motion
Oh.
that includes it.
you're right,
Correct.
excuse me.
Yep.
Thank you.
Aye.
Okay, hold off on that. Okay, Representative Ahlgren, you had some comments on the revenue. Everybody got this sheet with them from last week?
Right, well, yeah, thank you very much.
This was,
Madam Chair.
shows revised on March 11th, 2013.
Yes, I think, we see that last year's surplus over, our actuals over our projected was that $1,800,000 figure there. And the prior year balance of $2,283,950 was the prior year fund balance, or what we call around here a lot of times the rainy day fund of the county. But that, that additional 1.8 million, I believe we could use that as the surplus to reduce taxes. It would still leave us $2,300,000 in our rainy day fund. And that seems to have been where we've maintained it for the past number of years. So it would seem reasonable, that we would put that amount of money in to that line, to raise that to 1.8 million. In addition to that, we still have the $1.5 million leftover money from the bond from the building of the nursing home. So we also have that additional money. That is something that we can also tap into, but we still have that much more money in addition to that fund balance. So, using that 1.8 in this circumstance is even more possible because we have this extra money beyond the usual fund balance, I guess, is that we could use. And it would bring down, and ultimately that's going to bring down what we have to ask the taxpayers to pay us by $800,000. Well, to the county.
If I could just say, so you're suggesting, if I'm hearing you correctly, that we use the 1.8 and not use the 500 from the bond? Or are you adding that as well to make it 2.3?
Well, if we're going to talk a little more holistically, yes, I would suggest that the amount of the bond money of $500,000 would bring that balance down to $1 million. And that may be okay. That would be up to the delegation. If we were to use a number of about $250,000, when this is all said and done, the tax rate will be a 3% increase. That was kind of, more holistically, in order to kind of achieve a 3% more of a modest increase as we kind of add in the little increases from the purchase of the nursing home. That seems to be wise, but that would be a separate motion, and that's up to the delegation. We've always kind of thought that bond money we would use to do whatever renovations we might deem necessary to do to the annex, but we don't necessarily have to. I mean, that doesn't necessarily have to happen. I mean, technically, we could put in $1,175,000. That's what the interest is. I mean, the principal is on the bond this year, so that's what we could put in. That's possible. And then we'd bring down the tax rate even more. But, a modest increase, incremental modest increase may be wise. And also, we're going to have to do something over there, and the nearest I've seen so far to do anything of, I guess, value is going to cost about $1.2 million. And that would leave, if we take $250,000, that'll leave us $1.2 million left from that bond money. So we don't have to spend $1.2 million over there, but, just to make a 10,000-foot core, as we looked at last year, just to reduce that to a 10,000-foot core is still going to cost about $1.2 million. So to do anything over there of any significance is going to cost a bit of money, but we don't have to.
Representative Chandler?
Thank you. My concern, and I don't know exactly how I'm gonna vote on this extra surplus idea, because I would like to see the taxpayers back. The problem is, we just keep kicking the can down the road. We've sat here year after year after year. A 6.4% increase in taxes is inexcusable. It's just wrong. I haven't seen that increase in any town, county, or state budget in years. It's just wrong, and we keep using surplus to justify getting it down to 3% and say, oh, well, that's good. Well, pretty soon we're gonna run out of surplus, and the height of the budget is still gonna be here. We haven't changed. I don't know whether this is speaking holistically or not, but I'm not sure how that works in here. I have to go look it up. But I mean, that's the core problem. We haven't done anything on expenditures. And we just throw, okay, yeah, we can add another $500,000 and make it a 3% increase. Okay, that's good. But we've been doing that for at least the last 3 budgets, and that's a problem. And so, I'm not sure how I would vote on it yet, to tell you the truth.
If I might, we also have, in the last 2 budgets, right? Is that how long we've been paying on the nursing homes? And that is the majority of the increase, is the money that is the bond money for the nursing home.
And I understand that, but the situation is other town, I mean, I don't know, I'll just speak a little bit from my town, but, I mean, we, like all towns, faced extra retirement expenses, downshifting from the state, but we said, look, we're just not gonna increase the budget by 2%, so we made cuts, so we didn't. It's easy to say everything is here and there, but the fact of the matter is, the nursing home was part of the budget. We understand that, so if you wanna include that and reach a reasonable amount to be raised by taxes to the taxpayer at 2 or 3%, then you gotta make some reductions someplace else. We just can't keep continuing to go down this road of 6 and 7 and 8 and 9%. But I guess if the public doesn't care, well, so be it.
Representative Merrow?
Thank you. I would agree with Representative Chandler. I can't see, well, I'm not sure what we're going to use this surplus for, but sooner or later, I mean, we've got to make a decision on the nursing home. We've been putting it off now since I've been here for about 8 years, I guess, or whatever. But it seems to me sooner or later, we've got to make it, either do something, and even, no matter what you do with it, it's going to cost some money, period. And each year it's probably going to cost more because inflation and everything else goes up. So I'd be inclined not to use this. It boggles my mind that the county, if they do this, will probably have less surplus than the town of Ossipee. What can I say? I mean, it just doesn't make any sense to me. We've kept ours flat by in the last 20 years. I think we've been, the town budget about 4%, about $4 rather, just for the town right across the board. Now, I don't know, I don't want to go back and go all through this budget and cut stuff. That doesn't make any sense to me at all, but I'm a little leery about using up our surplus. It bothers me. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, did you have something, Commissioner Sorensen?
Yes, Madam Chairman. I would suggest that we add another $300,000 to the to the surplus to reduce taxes. That would bring it down to around 3.4% increase. And that 300,000 would come out of the 2012 surplus. That 806,000.
So you're suggesting
take out 300,000 out of that.
So
for every 100,000 you bring it down, it drops it a 1 percentage point. So if we're at 6.4, we put in 3, that drop it down about 3.4% increase to be raised by taxes.
Would that leave us for surplus?
Okay. Representative Cordelli?
I think I'm going to agree with Representative Chandler and just basically repeat what I said a week ago in terms of our appropriations, our expenditures have gone up over the past 4 years, over $4.5 million. We've taken, if you count $1 million this year, $4.9 million from fund balance to keep the tax rates down a little bit, but as has been suggested, that's not sustainable. there's going to come a time when we cannot match. We have to take a look at, I think, why we're experiencing these large surpluses each year, and maybe look at better budgeting, more realistic budgeting. But I'd agree that the appropriations is the primary place to look. It's unsustainable.
Okay, Representative Chandler?
Yeah, thank you. I don't know, at some point, if the chairman would entertain a motion to reconsider, I would just propose that we could reduce the budget by $300,000 and have the same effect as adding $300,000 in surplus, and we would reduce the amount to be raised by taxation to 3-point-something%. So I just point that out as another option.
Representative White?
Yeah, but what I don't understand is that we've had this huge process where we met in subcommittees and came up with the budgets. And then we met all together and we tore apart all the budgets and looked at them. And at that point, all those different points in time, there weren't reductions made to the point of, say, $300,000. So to come back now and say, okay, we're just going to cut $300,000 out, I think it's a little irresponsible because we aren't saying where they should come out of. And I just think that if we were going to do that, which isn't a bad thing to do, we should have looked at those line items and decided where we could take the money out of.
And if I could just respond to that, I think maybe if everyone had had this sheet to begin with and saw how much the increase was going to be, maybe that would have changed along the way. I don't know.
Representative McConkey?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do not disagree with my two fellow colleagues with the increase. I will say that the process has gone forward with the subcommittees, and there has not been an appetite out of the subcommittees to cut money. And some of those gentlemen sitting here that have made these comments, I think, could concur that we've been talking about amounts of hundreds or maybe $10,000 here and there. I think we're at a point with this. I would support the higher amount taken out of surplus, because I find that the process is flawed and that the income is higher. I fully understand the position on the registry, and the surplus that's shown, it traditionally is at those levels. I don't feel uncomfortable taking those amounts out, and I would hope those that return to go through another process would be more keen and eye looking at the departments and making cuts as we go through, as opposed to just going along with the process. So I've been through this process many times. There's always a surplus at the end. I'm not opposed to taking it. I think the commissioners need to do a better job presenting their budget, and I think we as delegation members going forward need to have a more critical eye in that process. So I will support the higher amounts that were brought forward, and would hope that future delegations will take a better look at this 6 and 7% increase, which I agree is uncalled for.
Madam Chair. Could somebody just tell me what the surplus would be if we take this out? What would we have left?
Same.
I'm not sure.
We'll have 2,583,950.
That's with taking the amount of money then I don't have a problem with it.
Representative Ahlgren?
Thank you. Yeah, maybe I wasn't clear in what I was trying to say. The $1.8 million is what we had in operational surplus last year. So if we put in $1.8 million, the rainy day fund will stay the same. It's still going to stay at the 2.283. And although I do agree with Representative Chandler that cutting the expenses is, also would have the same impact, but we went through that exercise, and that's when we should have done it. And what I'm presenting now in my motion of the 1.8, regardless.
We don't have a motion.
Well, is that irregardless of that, if we can cut $300,000, we should still put in the 1.8, because that's going to reduce the tax rate to the taxpayer. And we have it. We're not, we're not touching anything. Everything's staying the same of that 2.283 by putting in the 1.8, because that's what we have from surplus from last year. And then, all I was saying, on top of that, in other years, we also have this $1.5 million from the bond money, on top of the 2.283. We still have, in addition to that, 1.5 million. That's a separate line, it's a separate issue, but it's also, at this juncture, an extra cushion. So I don't think that the 1.8 is responsible at all. Irresponsible is the word I try to say.
I was gonna say, which is it, Representative?
I think it's the prudent.
Yeah.
Madam
Anyone
Chairman.
else have any?
Madam
Yes.
Chairman, I think if you put the 1.8 in, got to remember that next year we'll have to make that up. Because that's more money we're putting in to reduce taxes. We got to make up that 1.8 next year.
Work I spend.
I would suggest you go 1.3 instead of the 1.8 and have a little cushion for next year.
Any other comments? Representative Cordelli.
Thank you. Are there any other accounts anywhere that have unobligated funds? No.
Hope not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Want to get the question out.
Okay. Yes,
Is there a
Representative.
possibility of cutting across the board per department a certain percentage, 0.05 or 0.5 or something like that? And let them figure out where they're gonna do it.
Let the managers know.
And let them sequence what they want.
That's certainly an option. I will. Is everyone finished? Okay. During the course of the last 2.5 months, we have all been involved in our subcommittees. Okay. And I think that Representative McConkey was correct when he said that there was no appetite for cutting in many of the areas. And if you look through the budget, the budget was reduced by $100,000, I think, if I can subtract correctly. Roughly $100,000. Okay. And of that, most of it came from not doing was it capital reserves or the impound yard, buying the wood processor and identifying that we didn't need to spend quite as much on cameras. Okay, so in the other areas, basically nobody cut anything. No, there were no changes in the bottom line. And it was, relatively, there were some adjustments, relatively small. So what that's telling me is that the people that have worked through this had no, what I would call, appetite for these changes, or for any changes. So I find it, because we all had input, we all worked on, each of us worked on our own separate areas, and so we're in a situation where I really don't feel comfortable undoing what the subcommittees did in relationship to the budget. if you were concerned about the budget, which you all knew what the dollar figure was from your stack of papers, that the time to have acted upon that was during the subcommittee process. And so I am not in favor of an across-the-board kind of thing. I will, however, request that as the commissioners and the members of the staff here did last year, they were under budget by $650,000, which is not a bad thing. That's a good thing. And that they are obviously wisely watching their dollars, so I'm not in favor of that, okay? And we'll work on this a little bit more as we proceed into the next budget season. And should maybe do some things differently at that point. Okay, yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I would like to comment that I do agree with you that we did have a lengthy and thorough process of looking at the budget, and that was the appropriate time to make objections. And I also agree that the county commissioners and the employees need to be commended for actually coming in under what they could have spent. But I do want to object to what I believe is a mischaracterization of the work of the delegation in saying that there was no appetite for cutting. I don't think that's fair or respectful to the people that were involved in the process. There was definitely an appetite for doing the work of the county to meet the county's goals as effectively and efficiently as possible. And I think that's a better characterization of the work of the delegation. Thank you.
Okay. I guess I need a motion on the revenue side, if I could. We've had several discussions, and I don't know, do you want to first look at the bond money and then look at the other surplus, the fund balance?
Maybe why.
I would agree. Yes.
I guess I have a question, and I just want to make, I guess this might be belts and suspenders, but, you know, Kathy Gary is here. I just want to make sure, because we do have statutory limitations upon which we can expend the proceeds from the bond. And I am wondering when is the drop dead date, I guess, where it has to be spent by, that money expended. When is the last day we have?
The RSA states that the money can be used, as we have said before, to pay on the principal or to do capital expenditures. There is no, like, 10 years or, you know, there's no date within that time frame.
If I might add,
Are
at
you
some point,
sure?
we're going to use it for
3
something
years.
like this, doesn't require a 2/3 vote.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, you have to have a 2/3 vote.
In a hearing? Do you have to have a hearing?
If there's going to be if you're going to do capital?
No. There doesn't have to be a hearing to use the bond money to pay the principal.
No, no.
There's no requirement for that.
No, but there has to be a public, as they are now, there has to be a public vote, and it has to be a separate motion to use those funds.
Correct.
I have the RSA here.
Yeah.
If anybody would like it?
Yeah.
Kathy, I thought that you had told us before that we had a total of 3 years to expend the construction fund balance?
There's no, in the RSA, it does not say.
Okay, how did we end up with that?
Yeah, I know.
I think it was advised by the bond council to use it.
Okay, so the
Within
bond
3 years.
council advised us to use it for 3 years?
Yeah.
In 3 years?
In 3 years, but there's no, in the RSA, there's no,
There's no time.
Okay, thank you. David? Did you, or was, no?
You answered what I thought I'd heard over the years, 3 or 5 years, one of the two.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, well then I guess that is not, as in, I just wanted to be
yeah,
sure that we were sure.
have the RSA here if you'd like it.
Yeah, I would.
So do we have a motion to use any of the available balance from the bond to pay off the principal of the nursing home bond?
Madam Chairman, again, I'd recommend $1.3 million.
I'm not talking about $1.3 million. I'm talking about the nursing home,
Oh, I wouldn't use any of it.
nursing home. Okay, so everyone thinks that we ought to leave all of the 1.5 million that is in the nursing home, in the nursing home bond there. Is that what the feeling I'm getting? Okay?
I'll have a conversation. And, Madam Chairman, in looking at the projections, I believe is shown, I believe the first projection was to remove $500,000. And that would bring us down to, with what we were projecting, was going to bring us down to a 2.6 increase, if I remember correctly. Then I heard Representative Ahlgren talk about only taking $250,000 out of that, which would bring us somewhere in the neighborhood of a 3% increase. And I still would be in favor of reducing, at least by the amount that Representative Ahlgren had suggested, which would bring that increase down to 3%, because not pulling that in, I believe, is going to pull us over 3%. So we've been at this, we were sitting at the table, and we were close enough last time by 1 or 2 votes that reversed our position and sent us waiting another year on the old nursing home. The building's not getting any better, it's costing us more, and our projections were in at most at 1.2 for the building. I would feel better if we were to reduce that bond by at least the 200 that we had spoken of, which should leave us enough if the delegation, which I believe the subcommittee from the nursing home is still in charge to look at. So I would support, was the number $200,000? Removing $200,000, Representative Ahlgren? In your figure that you'd use, or was this $250,000? 200, reducing the bond balance by $250,000 to pay down against our bond obligation.
So if you are looking on page 3 of the revenue, 190,500,085.
Think take it out of the bond?
What you're suggesting is, did you make that a motion?
I'll make that a motion.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Syndi White. So what your motion is to change the 500,000 number to 250,000. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
So you're increasing the amount to be raised by taxes.
At this point, yes.
I'm fine with the 500,000 too, but we weren't moving in that direction.
Okay. Is there further discussion? Yes.
I concur with Representative Chandler's comment about that would increase the amount of income that we would receive from taxes. However, if we haven't voted on that, the number of how much we're going to use from surplus. So if that number of the 1.8 failed, we can always reconsider the reduction of this line.
Okay.
Just clarification if I may,
Yep.
Madam Chairman. Still a little bit confused. This money that we're talking about here, how does this tie in with the 300,000 that the commission?
None, it does not.
It does not.
There's no tie-in whatsoever, it's a whole separate
Whole
topic.
separate thing. So this money here that we're talking about is taking out of the bond, which would be used for the nursing home. Okay.
And right now, in round figures, if this passes, you increase the amount to be raised by taxation by $250,000. If you add the 300,000 to the surplus line and make it 1.3 million, as Representative Sorensen, basically you've done a wash, you haven't changed anything. I mean, it's $50,000 difference, but, which I don't mean to minimize $50,000, but on the whole scope of things, it's, if you do 1.8 as Representative Ahlgren suggests, then you've done a lot more, but.
Any other comments?
We should withdraw that motion and do the other motion first. We need two-thirds vote on this anyway.
I have no qualm which way we do it, so, and I was still supporting the 180,000 anyway, so.
Okay, yes.
Clarification from a newbie.
Mhm.
If you take 250,000 out of the construction section, the construction bond, why wouldn't the things go down instead of going up? You said it would go up.
Well,
Because
just a moment. Because if you look at this sheet and that line that I gave you, the commissioners recommended 500,000. And the motion on the floor is only 250. Okay? All right, so this requires a two-thirds vote, is that correct?
I don't I'd like to back up. Commissioner's recommendation on that portion, they had no recommendation to take any money out of that, out of the building fund, did they?
Yes, they
No.
did.
500,000.
Proceeds from the bond, 500,000.
Can you point me to that line item?
Yes, page 3,
Okay.
under other revenue,
Okay.
okay?
Okay, I see it. Thank you.
Okay.
I should withdraw my motion. I withdraw my motion, but it's 250,000.
Do I have?
I withdraw the second.
Okay. Do you have a new motion?
I'll move to, for line number 9500.007, I move.
007.
That's the surplus to reduce
Oh,
tax number.
okay.
I move 1.8 million.
1.8 even. Do I have a second?
Second. Which line is that?
Right under other revenue, the first one. 9500.007. James Bond.
Don't say bond, it'll confuse us all.
Representative White.
Just to clarify this whole discussion, Representative McConkey wanted to take some money to put towards that fund for the nursing home.
The bond.
And you're proposing to use that this money here, the 1.8, to reduce the taxes. Is there any way to accomplish what Representative McConkey wanted and yet still reduce the taxes?
If I may,
Mhm.
if you would adopt his motion and adopt his, you will reduce taxes.
Okay.
But the problem is, well, I'll leave it at that, yes, that effect, you would have a reduction of, what's the difference between $450,000. So it would lessen the impact of Representative Ahlgren's motion if you in fact passed Representative McConkey's motion.
Can I ask Representative McConkey a question then? Why did you withdraw your motion if that still would reduce taxes? Is it because your motion was being voted upon first and?
I was incorrect in my motion.
Should have
And
added it.
I've withdrawn it. I was looking to increase, and I apologize, I was looking to increase the amount of money taken from the bond, not decrease the amount of money taken from the bond.
Oh, okay.
I was in mistake, I apologize.
And I would, I don't know whether to just not recommend we vote for his motion and make an amendment. Can I make a, can I be
Certainly.
recognized for amendment?
Mhm.
I mean, either 1.3 or 1.4, I think is a great plenty out of surplus. I mean, not that it's not great, but using your amount, we get down, we'll have, which is a goal, I hate to be speaking this way, but we would be raising less money by taxes than we did last year with your amendment, with your motion, and then it really takes a lot out of our surplus. And I would like to think we could take, I'm twixt and tween, I'd like to think we could take a lot out of our surplus, because it might make people do lower budgeting, but right now I don't have a lot of faith that that's gonna happen, so I'd like to keep a lot of surplus.
Right.
So I guess I would like to see something in between, but I don't know if.
Well, did you want to make an amendment?
Well, I don't,
Yeah, do it.
I would amend it to be 1.4
Do I have a second?
in surplus, an additional 400,000 in surplus, I guess, however you want to say it.
Right.
I see you're not raising a tantrum, so.
It's an amendment, it's a good motion. I mean,
Okay.
if I can comment, or you just like to speak, and it's, I suppose it's 6-1, half dozen the other. If we end up with the total amount being between those two numbers, those two lines, 07 for the surplus to reduce taxes and the 085 proceeds from bond, as long as those two numbers hit around $2 million, whichever way we do it, we're going to end up with that 3% increase. So if we do 1.4 and leave this at 500,000, we don't touch that and don't reduce it,
Right.
we're still about there.
Well, I will, yes, just speaking, if I may,
Please.
I will not vote to reduce that other amount any, if this motion passes, our amendment. Yeah, no, that, in my mind, that has to stay where it is.
Representative Wright.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Forgive my ignorance, but
It's quite all right. We were all new to this at one time.
I assume this is similar to a town's undesignated fund balance that we're talking
That's
about.
correct.
And how much will that leave us with in that?
Okay, that's on this sheet here, okay? Its current, prior year fund balance was 2.283950. And we would add 400,000 to that, which would bring it to 2.683.
So right about 10% of our operating budget. Is that normal for, I mean, with the towns, they recommend you have between 10 and 15% for, in case something blows up and it goes wrong.
I think it's
Is
5.
that true for this, or?
It's 5 to 7, isn't it?
Okay.
Yeah.
I wondered. Okay, thank you.
All right, are there any other comments or questions? Yes.
If I might, Madam Chair, if the amended motion to take 1.4 million from the 2012 surplus passes, what would be, I don't know if we have a calculator or just good mathematicians, what would be the amount to be raised by taxes? What would be that increase?
Be
I
less
heard the
than-
number 3% increase.
Be less than 3%.
Somewhere less than 3%.
And I just want to add that, my amended motion is only taking an additional 400,000. We already have.
Correct, yes, I'm sorry, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. Anything else? All right. Representative Wright, we need to have a roll call on this, on the amendment.
Could
Which-
you restate that?
Mhm.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Representative Chandler amended the motion to read $1.4 million will be used from surplus to offset taxes. And that was seconded by Representative White. Is that correct? Okay.
Okay, hang on, I just want to get.
Yep, that's fine. I've been there doing that, so I certainly understand.
Representative Ahlgren,
Yes.
Representative Chandler,
Yes.
Representative Cordelli,
No.
Representative Lavender,
Yes.
Representative McConkey,
Yes.
Representative Merrow,
Yes.
Representative Nelson,
Yes.
Representative Ticehurst,
Yes.
Representative Umberger,
Yes.
Representative White,
Yes.
and Representative Wright, yes.
Okay, motion passes 9-1. No, 10-1.
10.
Okay.
If I could just, Madam Chair, I voted no because I would have liked to have taken a higher amount.
That's fine.
So I just wanted to explain that.
The motion is open to
You
further
get it-
amendment.
Well, you gotta vote on his anyway.
Oh,
Yeah, no.
Oh, that's right. That's right. That was on the amendment, correct?
okay.
Yeah.
So the amendment really takes over the motion.
Right,
Yeah,
but
I think so. but-
Yeah.
now the motion is open to further amendment.
Yeah,
I would think that if you like to move a higher amount, you may at this time, or we can decide how much we're gonna take out of the bond and then come back to this, because I think we're gonna have a struggle, because we can't combine the motion, because one gets a 2/3 vote, if I may speak freely, and one
Yep.
is just a simple majority. That's why I couldn't combine the motion, I realized. So, we may wanna,
okay.
look at that other motion and then consider what
Well, I
we're
don't
gonna
think, he withdrew his, I don't
I
think there's
withdrew my
any,
motion.
there's no, in my opinion, there's no discussion on the $500,000 bond amount, I don't think.
There will be once,
Oh,
when I put forth the motion,
oh, yeah, I'm gonna,
upcoming, I'm gonna move.
If you're going to,
oh, get on with it, so we can vote it down.
yeah. Get on with it.
All right.
Because
we have to move it.
Well-
Right? We can't
I
just not.
recognize Representative Ahlgren for a motion.
So I move that we use the proceeds from the bond of $500,000.
Well, that's already,
That is
that's
in
what's
there.
there, that's what we're
It's
voting
not
on.
Oh,
voted
wait,
on.
we have to,
We haven't voted on it, and and it has to be a 2/3
Yeah.
vote.
Okay, do I have a second?
Yep.
Representative Chandler? Okay. Discussion? Representative White?
I hate to ask this, but could you just explain where that 500,000's going?
Okay, if you look at this sheet here.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
when we built the nursing home, we were able to bring the building in under what we had bonded for. As a result, there is currently 2.7, oh, I'm sorry, there's
1.5.
currently 1.175
Right.
left in the bond. Oh, okay, look,
It's,
I'm sorry, I can't even add and subtract or read. What's available right now from the bond proceeds is 1.527,
okay.
okay? And so the commissioners recommended, on this sheet here,
Yeah.
that we use 500,000 of the 1.527 in this year to reduce taxes. And that money will go to pay the principal on the bond.
All right.
It doesn't cover the entire principal amount. I think it's
Okay.
about half. Okay?
Excellent. All right. Thank you. Mary.
So once I can learn to read, I'll be doing all right. Are there any other questions or comments? Okay. According to my semi-official legal beagle over there in the corner trying to hide, this requires a 2/3 vote. And what is 2/3 of 11? Someone with a calculator.
8.
8? Okay. So we need 8 in favor in order to go with the 500,000. So, Representative Wright, will you please call the roll?
Representative Ahlgren,
Yes.
Representative Chandler.
Yes.
Representative Cordelli.
Yes.
Representative Lavender.
Yes.
Representative McConkey.
Yes.
Representative Merrow.
Yes.
Representative Nelson.
Yes.
Representative Ticehurst.
Yes.
Representative Umberger.
Yes,
Representative White.
Yes.
And Representative Wright, yes.
so that was a unanimous vote?
Yes.
Okay. So, are there any other comments, questions, or suggestions on the revenue side? Yes, Representative Ahlgren.
Could we get the math and, for the number of the amount to be raised by taxes number?
Could I run downstairs and plug it in so I have the exact
Yep, we can adjourn for 5 minutes.
You feel good about it? I think that is the bottom line. Even though it's on the top line, it feels good, it's definitely the bottom line.
How are you today?
Back to order, if I could. Since not only is she our official semi-legal advisor, she is also our official number advisor. So, okay, so Kathy, why don't you tell us what we have?
I showed you here
Yep.
that I put in the 400,000 there. So it's 1.4 and the 500,000 there. The total budget.
The 500.
500,000,
That was already.
You didn't add 5.
No, I'm just showing that and that's the total budget of the 27,750,683. The amount to be raised by taxes, 13,690,381.
Okay. How did I get a different number than you did?
15, excuse me.
690,381. Because I got this number here. We had this before in revenue. $17,051,432, that's what we had.
Yeah.
Then we added 400 to that. I started here with 6.
Yeah, see, you put in extra, see, 50. So you put in an extra.
17017
Because we took it off the top.
Took it off what top?
You took it off.
Where's the bailiff's money?
I just wanna, here's the 17. And we
No.
changed the 400 here.
No.
See, if you put that.
Oh, okay.
And then we took from.
Okay.
Okay?
Let's go back to our figures here, if we could, because Kathy's semi-official numbers, Kathy's official numbers and my semi-official numbers are different. But I see, because this, I see where it is, right here.
Okay.
Yep. Oh, Kathy, this number's wrong. That's what the problem is.
Okay, so I have so that would increase that by $7,000?
That's the number you need right there. 109,686.
Instead of 116?
Mhm.
Okay, so that would increase this number by,
I'm sorry, I'm trying to follow, but this number and that number, I need to, if you could let me.
if you could take 116,040 and subtract out 109,968.
Where am I though here?
Oh, in the bailiffs.
Under the bailiffs.
I have 116,
Yeah, and that's not the right number.
040,
And it's supposed to be 109.
109.
Okay.
So that difference would be added into up here.
So should we reduce it?
So it's,
Reduce the budget.
109,968.
Right.
6,072 reduced.
6,000?
6,072.
How'd you get 96 and 90 equals 6,000?
Okay. Okay, so let's add 6,000.
No, you subtract.
No, we're adding it because we're taking it out of here. We gotta put it up in
Oh,
here.
okay.
So how much were we?
13,696,453 for taxes.
Oops, sorry.
This is $450,000.
696.
Oh, I'm using that
453. Okay, so. Right. Okay.
Okay?
Okay, did everybody get that number? Amount to be raised by taxes?
No.
On the top of your revenue page, first line, 13,696,453. Under the sheriff's income, line 17, which printed reads 96,040, should read 109,968. On page 3, under other revenue, surplus to reduce taxes, should read 1,400,000. Okay. Which brings our bottom line general fund revenue number. No, it's not that number. No, you need to add this.
No, because we already added and subtracted. We just moved it. We moved the 6,000 from here up to here. We took it off of here. It doesn't change this here.
Oh.
I mean, raised by taxes.
So I don't understand how you got that. Just a second.
13,696,453, I believe.
Because I had 17,05. I added these two together.
Yeah, and that's what we got.
Right, but where's the 400,000?
We took it from up top and put it in here.
Oh.
So it didn't change, it just
Moved it.
moved it.
Okay. So the number that I need.
For the general fund.
Okay, the number I need for the general fund is this number
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
Okay?
Do you want me to read it, or you want to read it?
That number?
Yeah.
Okay.
17,051,432.
That's on page 3 on the bottom. So.
Total budget?
Once more, Kathy. 17,400,000.
No, 17,000,000.
51,432.
Okay.
Which is that number there, which is this number here.
And on page 6, the total number is
27,750,683. Total revenue, and it, which is the same with the total expenditures.
It's pretty scary. Okay, so could I have a motion to accept, I guess that's the right word, accept the revenue figure of $17,051,432. Representative Lavender, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Representative McConkey. Are there any further discussions? Yes, Representative Ticehurst.
Clarification, please. The figure you just mentioned is for the general fund?
Oh, gee. Yes, that's for the general fund. Thank
Okay,
you.
Thank you.
Oh, I need this number back here, don't I?
Mhm.
Sorry. Representative Lavender, will you withdraw your motion?
Sure.
For my idiocy? Okay. Now, the number we need is
$27,750,683.
Okay, bingo. Ted, thank you. Okay, and that's on the revenue side.
That's the bottom line. The revenue, yeah.
I wonder if we should have a motion on how much to raise taxes.
Yes, you have to have the motion.
Okay, should I do that one
Yes,
first?
yes,
Should
you
I
have
do
to
that
have
one
it.
first before I do this one?
Either way, but it has to be in the
Okay.
minutes.
All right. All those in favor of the revenue of, I can't find it. No, we're doing
No,
total
the amount to
revenue.
be, okay.
Then we'll do amount to be raised by taxes, because that's some,
Did anyone make them, he withdrew, did someone else make this motion?
no, he made it.
I made it again.
Okay, thank you.
Did anyone second it?
Syndi did, or Ted did, yes. They both did, okay?
I just didn't see the minute taker writing, so I wasn't sure.
Just waiting for them to clarify. Yeah, Representative Wright, okay. Okay, I think, how many pieces of paper do you have left?
I'm good, we've got 3.
Yeah, I gave
so-
him plenty.
Oh,
Good.
that's
I
not
already
really
have this
wasting
one written
around.
down.
Okay, all
After
right.
lunch, we're gonna go through a whole bunch of stuff.
Okay.
Representative Wright, will you please call the roll?
Representative Ahlgren,
Yes.
Representative Chandler,
Yes.
Representative Cordelli. Representative Lavender.
Yes.
Representative McConkey.
Yes.
Representative Merrow.
Yes.
Representative Nelson.
Yes.
Representative Ticehurst.
Yes.
Representative Umberger.
Yes?
Representative White.
Yes.
And Representative Wright, yes.
Now, that passes 11-0. Now I need a motion to raise, of that figure, $13,696,453 from taxes. Representative Lavender, thank you for being so kind. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Representative McConkey.
Representative Lavender took the hit.
Okay.
Is this, like with the town, is this to raise and appropriate?
Yes, I think we need to say that.
Yes.
To raise and appropriate. From taxes.
Okay.
From taxes. $13,696,453. Representative White.
Could you tell us what percentage of an increase that is?
3.64.
He's got it.
3.64 is what I came up with.
Okay, any other questions?
2.8.
You came up with 2.8?
Close it is.
Well,
I'll go with yours.
She's right.
Well, no, I don't know, but the commissioner says $300,000 is gonna bring it down to 3%. Obviously, 400,000 would bring it.
That's what I thought.
okay, the
Very
magic
well,
calculator,
It's because you were
In-
believing his numbers
I
over
know, I like the
mine.
the magic calculator that Kathy will use shows a 3.5%.
I like Representative Chandler's better.
Yeah.
The overall budget was 2, but
Okay.
this might be more accurate if he's getting that 6,000 in there.
Anyhow, it's right around 3%. Okay? And we'll let the,
Because he's adding the 6,000.
yeah. It's right around 3% increase in taxes. And I think that's, you know, and of course, we don't have the new valuations, we don't have all that stuff, so who knows what is actually going to happen after DRA sets the rates and so on, so, but that's where we stand right now. Right about 3%.
3.5, yeah.
Are there any other comments, questions? Are we ready for a vote?
Right.
Okay.
Representative Ahlgren?
Sorry, yeah. No.
No. Representative Chandler?
Yes.
Representative Cordelli?
No.
Representative Lavender?
Yes.
Representative McConkey?
Yes.
Representative Merrow?
Yes.
Representative Nelson?
Yes.
Representative Ticehurst?
Yes.
Representative Umberger?
Yes.
Representative White?
Yes.
Representative Wright, yes.
Okay. Motion passes 9-2. Okay, good. Is there any other business that?
To go into convention.
I know we'll do that. Okay. Is there anything else I need to do before we go into convention?
Madam Chairman, if we could, I'd like to have Will pass out our recommendation for the wood processor that could be acted on next time.
Okay.
Give you a heads up as to what the figures are, what we came up with.
Okay. Could I have a motion to go into convention? Or did you have something?
Sure. Do we have the annual report yet?
No, that should be at the printers.
Okay. Could I have a motion to go into convention, please?
So moved. Second.
Representative Lavender seconds. McConkey first.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. We are now in convention. I need a motion to approve raising $13,696,453 in taxes.
So moved.
Representative McConkey, Representative Wright. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, unanimous.
You didn't call for nays. I don't think.
Oh,
Okay, he and I voted
oh,
against
okay, I'm sorry. All those opposed? Nay?
Nay.
Okay, I apologize. 9-2, okay. I need a motion to, use $500,000 from the nursing home bond towards revenue.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Cordelli? Do I need another? Oh, no.
I'm sure, you can call it.
Okay. All those in favor? Say aye. Opposed? Okay, unanimous. And I need one last vote, right? Our grand total of revenue, 27,750,683. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Representative Lavender. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Okay. Is that everything I need to do in convention?
We did expenditure already.
Mhm.
So we're set.
We already
We're
did
all
that,
set.
okay. So, could I have a motion to come
Move
out?
to come out of convention.
Okay, second. Representative Wright, all those in favor? Okay. We will not have a meeting for a while. Yes, we will.
Well, I know this isn't as much of a problem this time maybe, but I still would like to see, traditionally, we have always just recessed to appoint Concord to review a final copy with all the changes made. I still think that's a good idea. Because then we actually, I mean, we voted on a lot of things, and I'm sure they'll work out just fine, but I think we should be able to see a final.
Well, how are we going to do that? We'll get to the forms have to be signed and delivered to the state.
Right. And we have plenty of time, we're
Yeah,
not
we
up
got-
against the deadline right at the moment, so we've got time to do it.
Yeah.
Because you've got to sign up, when you get them, they've got to all be signed.
Yeah, you have to sign it and
Ed has to sign, okay. Oh, yeah, and Ed's not here?
right, he's not here.
Okay.
So I
you-
move we
you
recess
decide.
to the call of the chair to some point in time in Concord for just the purposes of reviewing the final figures, not making any changes to anything.
Second.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. So we will try to do it next Wednesday. maybe.
All right, a week
Not-
from-
Yeah, a week from Wednesday at lunch.
Okay, you have
Excuse
to.
me, Madam Chair.
Because that's
Has
the
to be done,
31st.
yeah, it has to be done by the 31st.
I think there may be some meetings in conflict with that on that day.
Some committee meetings, what are you thinking?
I know there's a session, but,
Yeah, I didn't bring it.
yeah. So we'll just meet, because we've got caucus at 9.
Yeah, Chairman usually buys lunch, if I remember right.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't think that was exactly how it went, but.
I think that was.
You have to do that together.
So anyhow,
Motion?
we'll figure out a time for that. And our next meeting, I will wait to hear from the nursing home subcommittee as to when they might be able to bring us a proposal. Because I don't think there's anything of any great importance other than that. And so whenever I hear that they're ready, we'll do something. In the meantime, our the subcommittee on the performance audit will begin their work, and we'll expect a report from them as to how far they have gotten. Are there any other things that are outstanding? Yes?
The dispatch committee met this week or last week, and they'll continue their work.
Okay. So, I think I better make a note. Otherwise, I will forget. I have performance audit, dispatch, and nursing home. Nursing home and wood stuff, wood, okay. Is there anything else?
In terms of the performance audit, Madam Chair, I've been in contact with the former representative from Grafton County who headed up that project, Representative Bulis, who sends his regards. But also, he had indicated that he has been in contact with the firm that did that, and they are booked in terms of their audits through the summer. So just to keep, that in mind in terms of timeframes for the subcommittee and possibility of getting an RFP out.
Great, thank you. All right, if there's no other business, we shall recess to the call of the chair, which will be sometime.
July.
Thank you all for your hard work that you have done to get us
Yes, thank you.
where we are.
No, I was just saying, you had a question.
Yeah.
Okay.